Chuck E. Cheese CEO David McPhillips has stepped down right after the Epstein files. Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese, where your kids can have pizza parties, and I found him in the files. Yep, there he is in the files. One of the most ultimate pizza parties for kids. And look, this character is wearing a black top hat. It says he's been there since 2019. Wonder if that was before or after Epstein. The email he's in is titled FBI Speakers, and it's from an Azizi Alamadi. Now, what is the CEO of Chuck E. Cheese doing as a speaker for the FBI? Did you guys ever notice the black hat this Chuck E. Cheese character is wearing? What does it remind you of? Oh, and he was in charge of international development for Six Flags. Oh, and look, now you can have unlimited visits for just $7.99 a month. This image can be found at the Showbiz OC Art building, allegedly. How creepy are these characters? And yes, I did find his name in the actual DOJ website, and I'm still in shock. I don't understand. I mean, it's the ultimate pizza party for children. I'm like so ill, I literally...
Crystal could actually remove all the stuff, right? I suspect a pound is what they did, yeah. They, removed all the... I mean, all this information in the 60s. It's really quite... I mean, perhaps that might have been out of time.
Mention of the tunnels and the office below the main house from Jeffrey Epstein to Gary Kearney. Mentions of the tunnels again from Peggy Siegal to Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein files Peggy Siegal, who was allegedly his publicist as well as the publicist for Blake Lively and Timothy Chalamet in various projects they've worked on, has resurfaced in lots of emails, really disgusting ones, including this one, where she offered to bring Jeffrey Epstein a little baby back. Or two, a boy or a girl, she asks, from her trip from Africa. And she said that it would be, quote, so Madonna. Remember in one of her emails to Jeffrey Epstein, she talks about Timothy Chalamet and Woody Allen. I've already made a video on that if you'd like to see it. Peggy Siegal's also the person who included Blake Lively as well as a bunch of other elite, inviting Epstein to New York Observer 25th anniversary party. Also did a deep dive on that if you'd like to see it. Before Peggy Siegal was excommunicated and canceled from Hollywood, she worked very closely with the Oscar Academy. She worked with a ton of A-list celebrities. She threw Oscar parties. She may have even been influential on who won Oscars. In fact, she was known to give Oscar advice to Leonardo DiCaprio, who is someone else who was in a recent Epstein file. I have a video on that too if you'd like to check it out. In fact, she talks about giving Oscar advice to Leonardo DiCaprio in a Vanity Fair article. Okay, so she said, a year ago, I saw him at a party in St. Bart's at Christmas. St. Bart's. That's one of the islands where a lot of people stopped at first before they went to Little James. Not to say that Leo did that, but I'm just saying. Anyway, a year ago, I saw him at a party in St. Bart's at Christmas, and he said, Siegal, who's going to win the Oscars? I have to call my bookie. And when Jeffrey Epstein allegedly, in prison, she tried to make a comeback. She even hired the Clintons' seasoned PR expert, Matt McKenna. Yes, those Clintons, the same ones that are in the Epstein files allegedly. She hired this PR expert, McKenna, to help her make a comeback in Hollywood, but it didn't work. He went as far as to making a statement saying Epstein was never a client of Peggy's, but emails showed otherwise. He paid for her travels. There's lots of wire transfers between them, lots of disgusting emails. Let's get into some of them. Here's an email from the disgraced Peggy Siegal to Jeffrey Epstein, subjected yacht slut. Peggy Siegal writes, is it going to be 100% Junite? Even Perlman on Yum Yum has some goyim. Goyim. What about Jane Fonda? My new best friend. Nothing like an ex-Jew hater with a Jewish boyfriend to mix it up. And then Jeffrey Epstein says, no goyim in abundance. JP Morgan execs, brilliant wasps. So now that you have a little info between her back and forth emails with Epstein, look at this original statement she made when he was first convicted and she was completely canceled immediately. She said, over the years, I invited Epstein to attend a handful of my events. I did not know at the time and did not learn until recently that he had been, this wasn't common knowledge. Had I known that he had been accused of doing that, I would not have maintained a friendship with him. I am horrified as each of these women come forward and their accusations mount. I am deeply embarrassed by my relationship with him and that I allowed him to use me. You're right. The Chuck E. Cheese CEO who stepped down after his name was in the Epstein files went to an FII speaking event, and it was in Saudi Arabia. And look at everyone who was involved. People who were in the Epstein files. So apparently, a bunch of billionaires, a lot of whom are in the Epstein files, like billionaire Richard Branson, who is in a ton of photos and emails with Epstein. And he said, quote, bring your harem for the next island visit. Like Sultan Sulayem, who's in a ton of emails and photos. Look, there's Sultan Sulayem right there. So it's held in Saudi Arabia every year, and there's kings, CEOs, prime ministers, presidents of countries, a bunch of billionaires. They run FII, which stands for Future Investment Initiative Institute. The Chuck E. Cheese CEO, who has now stepped down after his name was in the Epstein files, was attending this. So basically, FII is somewhere where a bunch of billionaires come in and they put their money in order to improve the world, okay? And their four main focuses are AI and robotics, education, healthcare, and sustainability. And doesn't this sound like stuff that Epstein was involved with all those billionaires? What was really happening when they were all meeting together? Okay, so there's the King of Jordan, CEO of JP Morgan, Jared Kushner is there, Stephen Wynn, Santander Group, Sir Richard Branson, CEO of Sotheby's. Oh, mayor of Miami. What is a mayor doing among all these CEOs and presidents? That's weird. Citigroup, Samsung, Rivian, founder of Rivian, JP Morgan CEO, Horowitz, BlackRock, Hyperloop, FIFA, Crown Minister of Bahrain, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Rwanda, Prime Minister of Greece, India, President of Gabon, Kenya, President of Senegal, President of Korea, Saudi Arabia, former President of Brazil, Australia, Aramco is major, Congo, Minister of Saudi Arabia, Bhutan, Bangladesh, South Africa, CEO, so many CEOs, Secretary of Treasury, CEO of London Stock Exchange, President of Canoe, Jared Kushner, right there, CEO of Andreessen, Virgin Hyperloop, former lady of South Africa.
Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know what your relationship with him was.
Yeah, I met Jeffrey in 2011, so over a period of 3 years.
Bill Gates just said they met in 2011, which is after his 2008 conviction.
I had a number of dinners with him. The focus was always, he knew a lot of very rich people, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. You know, in retrospect, that was a dead end, and I've said many times, but I'll say again, I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him.
Jeffrey Epstein wrote, I confessed to Melinda, you didn't. It was a moment of weakness, and I promised that we'll do anything within my power to make it right for you. Doesn't it sound like Jeffrey Epstein spoke to Melinda Gates there?
You've no doubt seen the allegations, including some of them from the last 24 to 48 hours. Are they true?
No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself.
That email is very detailed and talks about Bill Gates getting an STD from a Russian girl and asking for antibiotics as to secretly slip them to his wife, Melinda, allegedly.
That email was never sent. The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. Was he trying to attack me in some way.
According to another email, Jeffrey Epstein says that he was caught in the marital dispute between Melinda and Bill. He says he provided 6 years of service to Bill Gates, not the 3 years that Bill claims he knew him. And Bill Gates offered him a package at the end, allegedly.
But, it just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that.
The problem is some of the things that he has sent, some of the information about other people that has come up in those files has been true. Why would he do this and say this about you, do you think?
It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And
Here's Bill with 2 different women or girls. We don't know their age. Or women. Bill at Epstein's Manhattan mansion.
so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be.
More has come out, and it seems like Bill Gates was planning pandemic simulations with Jeffrey Epstein in 2017, allegedly.
That, although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
Is it frustrating to you, given what you've said, that this is now happening?
Not really. People should, hold people who are successful to a very high bar. And so, it's as these documents come out, they're going to be closely scrutinized.
Also talks about morally inappropriate, ethically unsound, and over the line illegal into participation of activities. It was kindly suggested that I make a transition to a new position after my 6 years of service, and that Bill would, in his words, give me a generous package. I feel it would be dishonest to myself and my future, from helping Bill to get DRUGS in order to deal with consequences of sex with Russian girls, to facilitate his illicit trysts with married women, to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments. I cannot believe that you have chosen to disregard and discard our friendship developed over the last 6 years. Leonardo DiCaprio is mentioned in the Epstein files a few times. Leonardo's former girlfriend, Alicia Reabenkova, there's emails between her and Epstein. So in the emails I'm about to show you, they're kind of worded weird, so I'll explain before I show them to you. She offers up a friend to Epstein. She calls Epstein a, quote, love bunny, which is so gross to me. And then she even says, I'll find a girl for you this time, I promise. I'm so bitter now, I'll do anything. Europe would be better to find a little girl. She says, I dated Leo. I like super hot boys, offering another girl. All right, so let's get into it. I'm dating Leo, so hot. I like young, super hot boys. I'm like, or Leo, or super rich young boys. I'm super hot now. Where is skinny Patrick? I need to go and strip for him. Alicia has dated Leonardo DiCaprio, Gerard Butler, and Cristiano Ronaldo. Here's where she tells Epstein, I'll find girl for you this time, I promise. I'm so bitter now, I'll do anything. Europe would be better to find little girl. What do you mean by little girl? This is the email where Alicia calls Jeffrey Epstein a love bunny. She goes, love bunny, do you want to see my friend or not? She would love to see you, and she's sweet. And then Epstein goes, I'm not in New York, send photos. And I guess she sends a photo, which is blacked out. And then Epstein says, where is she? And where were these pictures taken? And then Alicia says, I just spoke to her. She can come in 10 days. And this is her phone number. So to me, it sounds like she is helping to bring in other girls to Epstein and other men, allegedly. Then in another email, Jeffrey Epstein is again asking about more friends. He's like, any new friends? Happy Christmas. And then she says, do you like black girls? The one I know is really beautiful. She's 20. Happy Christmas. Mwah. Okay, gross. And then he says, send photo. And she says, sure. Looks like Alicia is helping to bring in more girls again. So if he dated Alicia, does this mean that he had any contact with Epstein? No. These are emails between Alicia and Epstein. So yeah, but there is that email from the former British ambassador to Epstein asking about if he knows of any international sponsorships where Leonardo can make more money. Can you think of anyone in India, China, Japan, etc. that might want the endorsement of Leonardo DiCaprio, Russian, etc., cars, etc.? Okay, this is in June of 2009. And it says he is looking for non-US products to endorse to make some money. Of course, Leo's spokesperson has denied any direct communication with Epstein and any wrongdoing. However, before we jump to any conclusions, let's look at what this is, okay? This is all alleged. Timothy Chalamet's name has appeared in the new Epstein files. He is mentioned by Peggy Siegal in the email I'm about to read. She was a big-time publicist in Hollywood. Peggy Siegal has been alleged to procure children for Epstein. The email is long, and I'll first skip down to the part about Woody Allen and Timothy Chalamet. I am sick about Woody. She's talking about Woody Allen. Reminder that Timothy played in Woody Allen's movie, Beautiful Boy. This quote-unquote Me Too witch hunt is out to destroy an 80-year-old global cinematic treasure, and it makes me so sad. It makes me sad that she thinks he's a cinematic treasure. I saw literary agent Lynn Nesbitt at Billy Rayner's funeral, and she said Woody is guilty. Of course, she is the agent for Ronan and Dylan. Even my friend Timothy Chalamet, who donated his salary from Woody's last film to 3 political agencies, was sick about being forced into any action by the press. He could not go anyplace on his, quote, call me by your name Oscar campaign without the press hounding him about working with Woody. His agents made him give his money away, supposedly not as a sign of Woody's guilt, but support of hysterical women and media. He is genuinely upset about the whole thing, and at 22 is a pan in a bigger game. So it sounds like she may have known something about Timothy not wanting to donate but feeling forced to, according to this. He is also to win the Oscar next year for A Beautiful Boy. What's really interesting is that this email is in 2018. I found an article from 2020 saying that Woody Allen claims Timothy Chalamet denounced him to win an Oscar. In his new book, Woody Allen alleged that Chalamet donated his rainy day in New York salary to charity in a bid to win an Oscar, just like what Peggy Siegal said in that email to Jeffrey Epstein. In the email, Peggy refers to Timothy Chalamet as her friend. She also speaks of Woody Allen as her friend who worked with Timothy Chalamet, as well as a possible Oscar nomination. Peggy was very well known in the industry to be very connected to the Oscar Academy. She also threw a lot of parties for the Oscars. How have you been? What's up with the Caribbean island? Staff still sleeping in the tunnels? Retrieved all the furniture out of the ocean? Did you take photos? Are you presently rebuilding? Interesting because of furniture, if you are following the Epstein files, could be children. And she's saying, have you taken them out of the ocean? In one of many disturbing emails from Peggy Siegal to Jeffrey Epstein, she offered to bring him, quote, a little baby back for you from a trip to Africa, saying that the move would be, quote, so Madonna. That's absolutely gut-wrenching and disgusting. Mind you, this is after Epstein had already been convicted of predatory behavior with children. Peggy Siegal was known to help Epstein re-enter the New York social scene after his 2008 conviction. So now both Blake Lively and Ari Emanuel have been found in newly released Epstein files. According to some new emails released, Ari Emanuel allegedly dated one of Jeffrey Epstein's Russian models while he was still married to his first wife. And don't forget, these two monsters are still repped under his agency, WME. Oh, and in case you forgot, Ari Emanuel was defending Ryan and Blake in this whole case. Okay, so this Russian woman is emailing Jeffrey Epstein, and she's like, Ari Emanuel, he said that I, quote unquote, castrated him on our first date. He that's what he's telling his friends. And he's been texting nonstop from China. What's the story? And then Jeffrey Epstein responds and says, very smart, driven, fun. His brother is mayor to Chicago. Same. This Russian model that he went on a date with asks Jeffrey, yes or no, he told best friend that introduced that he is afraid of me. Play or not play? I am opening big show on 14. We'll send you rest of the cast. Sounds like she's talking about a modeling gig there. And then she's like, so what's the deal? What should I do with Ari Emanuel? Then Jeffrey seems to encourage her to continue seeing him. He says, slow, but yes. Trust me, very slow. Poor guy, better than before. I will send you cast of 14th show at Fred Siegel. Girls my age, my level, but also super pretty. Those emails were released 3 days ago in the new Epstein drop, and also 3 days ago, look at this article. It says Ari Emanuel's Fiery Furious memoir to be released this fall. So it's just a coincidence that this article drops about you coming out with a memoir on the same day that your name appears in Epstein files? I think not. He's the one that called Justin Baloney instead of Justin Baldoni. He's a piece of work, yeah. Also very powerful in the industry, very successful, etc., etc. If you don't know, Google him. Just a reminder, remember Blake was on this invitation to Epstein, inviting him to the 25th New York Observer anniversary party? Yeah, she was on this invitation to Epstein. It says she's part of the people inviting him. And yeah, all the people that she is on that list with came up with some pretty shady things when I did a deep dive on them. You can go check that out if you want. It's in my playlist. I forgot to put in Woody Allen's picture in here too. The same Woody Allen who has come up repeatedly in Epstein files, and Blake has also, been cool with, along with Harvey Weinstein. Seems like she's just cool with a bunch of people who aren't that amazing of human beings, who allegedly do a lot of horrible things to children and young women and older women too. And yeah, and then she goes around saying that Justin Baldoni did SH or SA. Okay, we really believe you, Blake Lively. Before I forget, everything in this post is, in my opinion, and alleged. Just so interesting that so many dots are connecting, right?
Let me put my helicopter on it. I know. Okay. You got it? You got it.
So Bill Gates is all over the Epstein files, and this is what Melinda Gates has to say about it.
For me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad.
Yes, Melinda eventually left the foundation with a very comfortable amount of money, $12.5 million to be exact.
And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life.
I believe I can comfortably move on with $12.5 million as well. But
for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage. But I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away.
Notice her body language. She purposely pushed it away from her.
And I moved on.
So Melinda Gates has moved on. That's her face, and that's mine.
I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Again, with the body language, those people, not me. Melinda Gates doesn't want to answer any questions about Epstein and her husband. She thinks he should answer everything. I'm sure there's a lot of hurt and pain there. I totally understand that, but I guess I still have questions.
Well, and I'm so happy to be away from all the muck.
Melinda says she is away from all the muck, yet here she is answering questions about her feelings and expressing empathy about the victims. And while I understand it's extremely painful to talk about your husband allegedly getting an STD from a Russian girl and then allegedly slipping antibiotics to you, I know that is extremely painful and I would not want to talk about that as well, but it doesn't mean you couldn't answer questions. Just don't think it's an excuse for something this horrendous to happen and for you to completely say that you don't want to answer any questions.
We're having a reckoning as a society, right?
Yes, Melinda, we are having a reckoning. Everyone is being traumatized by the files that are coming out.
No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right?
Yes, Melinda, we all agree no girl should ever be put in those positions. I guess we all keep wondering if you knew about them, and it sounds like you don't want to talk about it. We should only ask Bill.
I remember being those ages those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles.
I'm sure the questions were pre-approved for this interview. By no means am I blaming Melinda Gates, but I'm sure that she agreed to speaking about her emotions, but not anything else, not about anything that she may or may not know.
Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls?
While I 1000% agree that there is sadness and we should talk about the girls and they deserve justice, we keep talking about the sadness for the girls and nothing else, not anything that you may know, Melinda.
And I hope there's some justice for those now women, right? We see them standing up in front of microphones in D.C.
While we all hope and wish for justice for every single victim, I guess we still are curious. What did you actually know?
As you know, a picture came out of you with Jeffrey Epstein with two apparently young women in it. What is your response to that picture?
Oh, well, that picture in particular happened around 20 years ago, out of 20 to 21 years ago, because that is a photograph of my fiance.
Brett met Rebecca Gayhart when she was 15 years old, and they were together 13 years. They were engaged in 97 and split up in 99.
Who invited me to this event, and that's where the picture was taken. I had never been in contact with Jeffrey Epstein before that photo, and I was never in contact with him after. So
keep in mind, Brett Ratner has been accused of by 6 different actresses, allegedly.
That's a picture of me and my fiance at some event.
Wow, so who was the fiance, if you don't mind me asking?
She doesn't want me sharing her name in the case, but that's my fiance, 100%. Was my fiance.
But you're not still.
I'm not
You're going to say you're not still with her.
He's not engaged. It's the world's longest engagement in 20 years.
20 years ago, I was engaged to her when that photo was taken.
The longest engagement. Brett has jokes. Ha ha ha.
Right. And your position is you never met Epstein before or after that picture at night.
No, never.
In 2012, Epstein wrote to a publicist that he was sitting next to Brett Ratner at the Cannes Film Festival. In 2018, there's an iMessage that Epstein wrote to an unidentified recipient saying, "Hi, I'm Jeffrey. Brett Ratner thought we should meet." In 2011, the assistant apparently emailed Ratner to say Epstein wanted to speak to him. In 2010, Epstein tried and struggled to contact Ratner. Just released Epstein files reveal Elon Musk asked when he could visit Epstein Island. Previously, Elon claimed that he refused invitations from Epstein. So November 24th of 2012, Jeffrey Epstein asks Elon Musk, "How many people will you be for the heli to Island?" 25th of November in 2012, Elon Musk writes back saying, "Probably just Tallulah and me. What day/night will be the wildest party on your island?" Tallulah was his partner at the time, and I don't know if you guys remember, but he was allegedly very involved with Amber Heard, and they used to have be involved in really wild parties too, allegedly. So then here's a forwarded email from Leslie Groff to Jeffrey Epstein. Leslie Groff is the assistant, and I'll start on the bottom and read my way up. So Elon first sends an email saying that the kids are on holiday. Is there a good time to visit? And then Jeffrey Epstein says, "Any day, the 1st through the 8th, play it by ear if you want, always space for you." Elon Musk says, "Okay, probably the 1st then." And then Jeffrey responds and said, "The 2nd or 3rd would be perfect. I will come and get you." And then Elon says, "I need to fly back to LA on the night of the 2nd, so W." Jeffrey responds, "Actually, I could fly back on the 3rd. We will be in St. Bart's. When should we head to your island on the 2nd?" Here's another email between the two. On March 4th of 2013 at 7:20 a.m., Elon Musk's right. "Normally, I would agree, as I have found that my totally daily productivity is optimal at around 6 to 6.5 hours of sleep. However, I have to fly to Geneva tomorrow, so staying up late puts me more in sync with that time zone." And then Jeffrey writes back saying, "Benefit analysis would probably show Tesla doing better with you getting more sleep." On March 4th of 2013, Elon Musk writes, "It is 3 a.m. in California, and I'm still working on Tesla and SpaceX email. We'll hit the sack shortly, but be up at 7 for a call. April should be better, but it depends on how well QI goes." What's really interesting is that there was a post by Elon Musk on X saying that it was time to drop the really big bomb. Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. So the whole thing is just weird. Like, if he knew he was in the Epstein files, why would he post this? Or why not? Maybe to try to look like he wasn't. March 4th, there was an email from Jeffrey Epstein saying, "Will you take a break in April?" And March 4th at 2:33 a.m., Elon writes, "Thanks, now I need to focus on Tesla. Hopefully we'll have that sorted out in a few months." Jay-Z and Pusha T in a scandalous email in new Epstein files along with Harvey Weinstein. An FBI document describes a victim's experience with Jay-Z, Weinstein, and Pusha T allegedly. Trigger warning, this is very disturbing. It says approximately in 1996, someone was abducted from her home when she later awoke in the presence of Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter, also known as Jay-Z, while Weinstein had inserted his fingers into somewhere. It's disturbing. She believed she was in Epstein's mansion in Florida. It's estimated that she was abducted on 7 occasions, waking each time in an opulent indoor setting, suffered from sex abuse on multiple of these occasions in which Epstein participated. Person recalled Leon Black and William Barr being present during some of the occasions of abuse. In approximately 2006, this person recalled being abused by Epstein. He believed she was drugged, clouding her memory, attributing drugging as frequently performed by persons assigned as handlers, whom she described as person who established friendships with the victims. Among her handlers, this victim identified artist Pusha T. In approximately 2007, they attended a party following invitation from an unknown man who approached her as she walked down the street. Weinstein and Pusha T also attended the party. and again drugged her before engaging in sex abuse. This person claimed to have additional information of other persons involving in the enterprise and information related to racketeering conducted in support of the trafficking. Further believed she was under surveillance and stalked at the direction of the people involved in the sex abuse. It was confirmed that she was not diagnosed with mental illness. This person refused to provide her physical address, advising that she maintained no permanent address. Rather, she moved between staying at different hotels. It sounds like this person was very afraid of the persons named in this document. 3 million Epstein files have been released on January 30th. More will be revealed soon. I'll be covering it. Jeffrey Epstein at the CIA headquarters. Like many billionaires, Epstein hoped to seed the human race with his own DNA. He was obsessed with himself. Jeffrey speaking to someone about Bitcoin idea. Look, DNA data storage and Bitcoin. I mean, look at this. And it is said that designer babies, surrogacy, and breeding were happening at his Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, which is still up and running and active, and nobody can get inside. Epstein was also super into 23andMe, and he sent kits to all his friends, including Woody Allen and his stepdaughter/wife, Soon Yi. Emails with a doctor named Brian Bishop go as far as talking about an agenda for designer babies, structuring, finance, privacy, project goals, feasible outcomes, a whole timeline. He was really doing this, you guys. And then there's an email between Epstein and billionaire Glenn Dubin. He says, I get a picture of you flying over Mount Fuji, and I have to find out from Pagosi that you have twin babies. Eva and I are so excited for you. Please send pictures ASAP. So where are these twin babies? And were they really test tube babies? Genetically modified to be like the quote unquote perfect, healthy, genetically desired baby? This is in 2011, and he's speaking to an Amir Taki. He says, Amir, the Bitcoin idea is brilliant. Was he involved in the finding of Bitcoin? Maybe he knows about Satoshi Nakamoto. Seems like there's CIA trays everywhere. Clearly, he was working on making babies, whether it was in test tubes or with girls, women. So is the bloodline still around, continuing somewhere? Will we ever know? Why is mainstream media questioning if and how Epstein died?
New analysis of surveillance video by CBS News shows a partial view of what may be someone possibly headed up to Epstein's cell tier the night he died. Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell in the early morning of August 10th, 2019, inside this since-shuttered federal prison in Manhattan.
Watch.
And this was the vow of Attorney General Bill Barr.
We will get to the bottom of what happened, and there will be accountability.
Epstein's death was quickly ruled a suicide, but a technical failure that left only one working camera near his cell that night has created conspiracy theories about what happened leading up to his death. At the time, the Attorney General said no one entered Epstein's housing tier the night of his death.
I guess if the Attorney General said it, it must be so, right?
But there's been scrutiny of a particular moment on the cell block surveillance footage where an orange-looking flash could be seen at 10:39 p.m. A report from the Justice Department Inspector General notes the flash, quote, it is possible someone is carrying inmate linen or bedding up the stairs.
Nope.
And the final report refers to it as, quote, an unidentified corrections officer. But now, newly released Justice Department documents reveal an initial FBI review of surveillance video on the cell block says the flash could possibly be an inmate.
Let me get this straight. They needed the big honchos at the FBI to decipher that an orange outfit is probably an inmate. Like, that's not common sense.
And independent video analysts consulted by CBS News say the movement was more consistent with an inmate or someone wearing an orange prison uniform than a corrections officer.
What does an independent video analyst actually mean? Like, who is that person?
And prison employees tell CBS News it would have been highly unusual to move an inmate at 10:39 p.m.
So it'd be highly unusual to move an inmate at 10:39 p.m., but yet it's still possible. You can still go open the door and move an inmate and maybe help an inmate escape.
Jeffrey Epstein was found dead at 6:30 a.m. the following morning. And last year, then Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino insisted.
There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
Yeah, it's video footage, but how about the video footage that's missing? It would really help us to clear everything up if the actual camera was on and not off for a certain period of time.
A separate CBS News investigation last year also cast doubt on how the prison preserved the crime scene, why Jeffrey Epstein's body and some object were moved before the FBI arrived.
Why would trained officers ever touch anything in the crime scene? Why would prison employees touch anything in the crime scene, yet they did? even though they knew the FBI was coming.
Right, but these new details raise further questions about the thoroughness, Vlad, of that original investigation.
They quickly ruled it suicide, so how was it thorough?